beautiful people. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. My name is Chi, your friendly neighborhood PCA, and welcome to today's video. Y'all, I know you guys have been bombarded with all of the news these last couple weeks about, you know what's going on. I'm not gonna say it because I don't want YouTube to take this video down. Really, I just want this video to serve as a means of education, insight for those of you who are CNAs or who are thinking of becoming CNAs and maybe later on nurses as to what's really going on in the hospital setting at this time. So therefore, we're gonna refer to it as Miss Rona. So Miss Rona has taken the world by storm, y'all. It is crazy. Like 3.5 weeks ago, I had no idea we would be at this point right now, but we're taking everything in strides. We're doing the best we can. Shout out to all my people on the front line, doctors, nurses, my techs. Hey, what's up, y'all? Respiratory therapists, everybody who's out here making sure these patients are well attended to, and all the ancillary staff who's also making sure the hospital is running. That's my security guards, that's my dietary, that's my housekeeping. Y'all, everybody, we all play a vital role in this situation, and everything is evolving day by day. A lot of the things that we learned yesterday isn't even going to hold true today. We are taking it as we go. So y'all pray for us. If you know somebody who works in a hospital, please say thank you. Like, with social distancing, we don't want to give them a hug or nothing, but just say thank you. Tell them how appreciative you are. Please, please, please. If you know somebody who is in your life, buy them some coffee because we are overworked. We are running around the clock. A lot of us are picking up extra shifts, some by choice, a lot of us not by choice. A lot of hospitals having their policies that when, states of emergencies are put into place, a lot of us are mandatory to pick up overtime. So it's real, you guys. So just, keep us in your prayers, keep a lot of these healthcare workers in your thoughts. And please, please, please listen to the officials when they tell you rules to keep yourself safe, stay indoors, social distance, limit your time outside. Just do all of these things so we can limit transmission to you guys. That way, if you do get sick, you guys aren't posing a threat to us, especially if we're running out of supplies, which I will also touch base on in a little bit. So for those of you who do not know, I am a patient care tech in the hospital. Specifically, I work in the ICU, and the patient care tech is known by many different names. We go by CNAs, certified nursing assistants, nurse aides, nurse techs, etc. So our main role in the hospital is to assist the nurse in caring for a patient's ADLs, vital signs, etc. So what does that mean? We are in charge of helping the patient, ambulate, toilet, bathe, feed, check their vital signs, check their blood sugar, possibly do blood draws on them. We also let the nurse know if there are any changes in the patient's status. That way they can respond appropriately. As techs, people don't realize this. Yes, nurses do so much and they are so underappreciated. Nurses need so much more love for everything they do to keep a hospital, a long-term care facility, so many different healthcare institutions afloat. But little do a lot of people know that behind nurses, there are many, many techs who do so much back-breaking work to make sure a patient is attended to on a daily basis. Out of the entire healthcare staff, I will take the chance and say that a lot of the times a patient comes into contact with their tech way more than any other healthcare professional, including their nurse. And again, it depends on the setting, it depends on maybe even your shift, it depends on staffing, etc. I get that. But for the most part, I will say that people will agree that most of the people who run to answer your call bells, to come do your vitals, to come check on you hourly, that is often the tech in the hospital setting. So techs, we have so much patient interaction, and what we do is very underappreciated. A lot of people don't even know what our role entails, but that's why I'm making this video, so I can shed some light and again, kind of explain to you guys what it is that we're doing during this whole pandemic that's going on. So as I mentioned before, I am a tech. I have 2 jobs, but in this specific video, I'm gonna be talking about my job in the ICU. And as a lot of you guys know, with the Miss Rona that's going on right now, it can get pretty serious. In general, patients that go to the ICU are in critical condition. So the fear is that if so many people get sick at once, our ICUs are only capable of supporting so many patients at once. And even then, we're looking for so many more options and alternatives as to how we can provide ventilatory support to patients who are in respiratory failure. As a tech in the ICU, I know some of you guys might be wondering, do I come in contact with patients who are under investigation or who are suspected to be positive of having COVID? And the answer is yes. As a tech in the ICU, at least at my particular hospital, I am fully authorized to go and help and assist patients who are PUI and who are positive corona patients. The next question will be, do I have to wear an N95 mask when I'm dealing with these patients? And the answer depends. Generally speaking, the protocol when it comes to this is honestly evolving every single day, and I believe it evolves every day in response to, you know, what our supplies are, what we have on hand, because the goal is to save the N95s for the most critically ill ICU patients who are receiving aerosolizing procedures. That usually means that patients who are intubated or who are being intubated, if you're doing like a bronchoscopy, if you're getting a BiPAP put on or off, things like that, things that will generate the virus and the droplets to possibly aerosolize, that is what we are reserving the N95s for. So what does that mean? That means that if you are in the ICU, at least at this moment, and I am filming this video on March 26, 2020, so again, things might change. Things might be different when I go into work tonight. Things might be different tomorrow. Things might be different at your own institution. So by no means is this a guideline, but I'm just kind of sharing what my experience is. So that means that if you are an anesthesiologist, if you are respiratory, if you are a nurse going into an intubated patient's room, if you're a tech helping a nurse in an intubated patient's room in the ICU, yes, we wear N95s. N95s, unfortunately, are running super low, and it is a crisis in and of itself, and that is something that worries me every day, because I hear stories of other hospitals, other floors in my own hospital where they don't have this equipment. In the ICU, we are so lucky. I am so thankful for my manager. She fights for us. She makes sure she does everything she can to secure us the equipment that we need. She's there to listen for us. She's there to listen to all of our concerns, our anxieties. She gets us food because she knows we are stressed. Shout out to my manager, and I hope that everyone who's working during these stressful times has a manager and has supervisors who are there to support them like mine is, because honestly, it's very stressful knowing that you could be in a situation where you don't have the right equipment, and health organizations like the CDC and WHO are recommending that healthcare workers, wear scarves and bandanas to protect them, and that is so scary. Ideally, I try my best to keep up with the news, but again, not so much to the point that I'm stressing my own self out. But New York, guys, pray for New York. New York is hit hard, and I'm preparing myself mentally, because I think New Jersey might be going in that direction, and that's a very scary thought. At present, it's like N95s are in such short supply. Again, we reserve those masks for situations when the virus particles can be aerosolized, intubation, bronchoscopies, BiPAP, CPAP, things like that, things that might generate these droplets to become airborne. So I honestly am scared of what happens when we run out of N95s, because my ICU, I am so grateful that we still have them, but for how long? Every day I go in, I question, are we even still gonna have them? Because right now, everybody's logging up their supplies. You go into a hospital, literally a month ago, you can find masks and gloves and N95, everything you needed, would be right there, because there was no worry. We didn't have a pandemic on our hands. Right now, everything is locked up, because the sad and the sad part of all of this is that we've had patients coming in and just people off the street coming in and literally stealing it from the emergency room. Or before hospitals were on lockdown and visitors weren't allowed, at least in my area, you'd have family members coming in and just taking things for themselves. So it's really sad, guys. Please don't do that. Your healthcare workers really need this life-saving equipment in order to keep all of you and your family safe. So in my ICU, we're actually a little bit lucky. My manager got us a UV light box. So we've had this for a while, but it's definitely coming in handy now. So we have a little box where we actually disinfect our goggles. So we actually reuse those at the moment. We don't use them on the N95s because I know there are talks about what the literature suggests in terms of that, because I know, at least from my own research, people have stated that the UV light can potentially degrade the polymers in the filtration fabrics, so that can make that N95 less effective. So there's a little bit of back and forth going on as to whether or not we can sanitize our N95s, but at the moment we don't, but we do reuse them. So we are told and instructed to keep using them as long as they're not wet, they're not soiled or anything like that. So on top of our N95s, we're supposed to put a surgical mask. The surgical masks we throw away, but the N95s are supposed to keep their integrity, and that we keep reusing. Again, in the words of Dr. Mike, I know so many of you guys are probably already watching him on YouTube. I want everyone to be alert and not anxious. I am not making this video to scare you guys, but it's to shed some light on the fact that if we do get to a point that we don't have enough masks and healthcare workers are wearing bandanas and scarves that have no filtering material, and we should just hope and pray that this, protects us against the virus. Like, you guys don't understand what it means when people say that we are on the front lines. That is truly being on the front lines, being in the trenches and not knowing what you're gonna get, what you're gonna have to deal with that day, and being so scared that you don't have the right equipment to do your job well. Because at the end of the day, you guys, the reason why we go into healthcare is because we want to help you. There are so many people out there who need our help, who need our specialized attention, and we are there to be there for you. Like, this is what we do. This is why we went into healthcare. But at the same time, you guys have to understand that we have families, we have loved ones, we have significant others, we have kids, we have parents, we have grandparents, we have friends. The last thing we would want to do is bring this home to them, to hurt them potentially by transmitting it to them, or us getting sick ourselves. And this is very scary. So I implore you, if you guys know anyone who has reserves or stores of N95s, or who has, any healthcare equipment, full body suits, please, please, please reach out to your local hospital and ask how this equipment can be donated, because believe me, it is so needed. We need as many helping hands as we can in this kind of time. We just need to all come together, support our healthcare workforce, support our doctors, our nurses, our techs, our respiratory therapists, everybody who's out here on the front lines. This is real, guys. This is real. This is scary. But we need to have a smile on our faces so that we are a source of hope and trust for you guys. So for us to be able to do that for you, you guys have to do something for us, and that's to help us make sure we have what we need in order to stay safe so we can keep you safe. The thing about what's going on in the hospitals right now is ideally we would like to keep our positive COVID patients in negative pressure isolation rooms, and those rooms have a special mechanism that kind of filters the air out, so any droplets or particles that are in the air don't get released into the general atmosphere of the hospital. But unfortunately, the way hospitals are kind of structured, there are only so many isolation rooms that we typically use for airborne patients. At this time, what we do in my ICU, we have machines called HEPA filters. So they're really high powered machines that, again, do that same air filtering in order to kind of clean the quality of the air. We, as techs, get that ready 30 minutes to an hour before a patient is supposed to arrive that is either under investigation or is suspected to be positive. But again, even in those situations, we have only so many HEPA filters. So it's definitely challenging knowing that we don't have enough equipment in order to properly, again, protect ourselves so that we can care for these patients. So that's something that I really just kind of want to put out there. So when people talk about us being on the front lines, that, yeah, it's scary. It's very scary. We are strong. this is what we love to do. We want to help people, but at the same time, what's the human cost of that? You know, like you wouldn't go into battle, you know, without your bulletproof vest, right? Without the equipment that you need. And it's the same thing for our healthcare workers. We're going into battle every single day, and it's scary and it's sad and it's concerning that so many of these people and these professionals and these staff workers don't have what they need in order to properly and safely do their jobs. So that said, yes, as a tech during this time, I'm not gonna lie, it's stressful. If I can, I will try to include like some vlog bits in this video, but to be 100% honest, in the ICU at this moment, we are almost at capacity. I'm in Jersey, so as of the day I'm making this video, we are, I believe, the second state hit hardest behind New York with the number of cases, with the number of positives. So we are working double time, you guys. And honestly, during my shift, normally during even night shift, I have like, you know, a couple minutes that I have a break or two that I can like kind of sit down and like do something like this. But I don't know if I will have the time. So I really just kind of want to make this intro now, and I'll insert any clips if I have any when I'm editing this. So with that, with all of that said, techs, I just want to again shout you guys out. This channel, I really want this to be a resource for my CNAs, my PCAs, because I see a lot of nursing influencers, I see a lot of nursing YouTubers. I don't see so many CNAs and PCAs. And whether that means if you are a career CNA or if this is a stepping stone for you to become a nurse, because again, there is so much that we do. I believe our line of work is underappreciated. Even some nurses don't appreciate everything that it is that we do for the patient. And you know, sometimes we can get talked down to, you know, we're made to feel as if we're, you know, beneath the nurse and the doctor. And yes, while we are not licensed in the way that they are, the work that we do is still so vital. So yes, all my techs, all my CNAs, all my PCAs, y'all, this one's for you guys. Like, keep rocking with it, keep hustling, keep staying strong. Like, I know it's tough. Like, I also work med-surg tele, so I get it. There are nights that you might have 15 patients, and to be on a rule-out unit where you have like 15 or more potential COVID patients, and to be honest, that's the direction that we're most likely going to be going in the next couple weeks. It's tough. Stay safe, you guys. Stay hydrated. Think positively. Stick together, because honestly, in times like this, you need your coworkers, you need your family, you need your friends, and you just need to come together and really just, you know, just be one, y'all. In times like this, we got to be able to lean on each other. And I know a lot of us are like, oh, we can do it on our own. I got this, but no. Like, if there's somebody, you know, that you work with that you don't really talk to, say, hey, what's up? How are you doing? Like, you know, how can I help? Like, how can we help each other? Like, oh, I'm going to go get coffee. You want me to get you something? Like, we just have to honestly work with each other now more than ever, you guys, because it's getting crazy. And I'd be very interested to see that in a couple weeks from now, what the state of the world is going to be, and how I can look back on, you know, a video like this and see like, wow, hopefully things have improved. But even then, it's like just being able to reflect and see where we were. And I hope this serves as, again, a message to everybody. Please, please, please take this seriously. This is not a joke. Like, I wish I could haha and be like, oh yeah, whatever. But no, like, when you're actually in the hospital and you're dealing with this, you are scared. You are scared to death. And just y'all, please just take Miss Rona seriously. So now that I talked to you guys a little bit about Miss Rona, what's going on with all of that right now, I'm kind of segue into what my day is like as a tech in the hospital, in the ICU specifically. So let's get into that. So with Miss Rona on the loose, my duties as a PCA in the ICU have not really changed much. So when I first come in, I clock in, obviously, put my stuff away, and then I go get report from the evening shift PCA as to report on the patients, what to expect, if there are any particular considerations I have to be aware of, like which patients are ambulatory, who's on I&Os, who is NPO for the night, etc. After I get a report from the PCA that's leaving, I go and get report from the nurses, because the thing about ICU patients is that they are very critical and things change constantly. Doctors are constantly updating their orders. So maybe for the evening shift, there might have been an order that a patient could eat and, etc. But afterwards, by the time my shift comes around, usually patients might be NPO after midnight if they have a procedure that they're going to the next day. So it would be really bad if I were to answer a call bell and a patient saying that they're hungry, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I'll get them a sandwich, but little did I know they were actually NPO, and now the fact that they ate something can jeopardize whether or not they have a potential life-saving procedure in the morning. So that's something very important. I always double check with the nurse to see if there are any changes to what the PCA had told me. So after I do that, I start my evening rounds where I do my temperatures and my blood sugars. Normally, this is what I would call the time that I do my vitals, but in the ICU, things are a little bit different because our patients are hooked up to the heart monitors. So nurses are able to monitor what's going on with, their blood pressure, their heart rate, their pulse ox, etc. All of that is monitored continuously, so I don't have to worry about that. However, the temperature, I do have a machine that I go around and I do all the patients' temperatures. And if there are any patients who are diabetic or for whatever reason their blood sugar needs to be monitored, I do that as well at this time. And when it comes to the blood sugars, patients can be either monitored Q4, that's usually how it goes in the ICU, or if they have a little bit of a higher acuity, we might be doing a Q2 or Q1. And a lot of our DKA patients, we do that Q1. So after sugars and temperatures are done, next I usually go around with the nurses, ask if the nurses need anything, and this is the time that we usually turn our complete care patients, and we do that Q2. So that usually means that every 2 hours at minimum, we try our best to turn our patients from side to side. That way we can prevent any pressure ulcers or bed sores and things like that from forming. Because when you're in the same position for too long, your body, like the skin just starts breaking down, and that is no good. And you're more prone to infections and things of that nature. So we really, really try our best to make sure we turn our patients. After we do our Q2 turning, at this time I usually ask my nurses, hey, do you guys need anything? At night, for some reason, the tube system is always down. So what we usually end up doing is that if they need any medications from the pharmacy, I run down and get that. However, as a tech, I am not authorized to pick up any controlled substances, so any of the narcs or anything like that, I can get. The nurses still have to go and get them, but anything else, I go and pick that up for them. If they need any specimens to be taken down to lab for like stat processing and analyzation, I go and do that. And after that, I usually come back and kind of wipe everything down, get the unit nice and clean. Usually nurses, ICU nurses are always moving. Like they have a million things to do. So to be honest, they kind of just throw everything everywhere. So I usually always make it a point to kind of clean the unit, make sure everything's where they need to be. I stock up on gloves and gowns and everything that the nurses need, that way they can grab it and they don't have to worry about trying to find out where the essential equipment is. So after this, it's probably usually like about 2:30 in the morning. That's usually when I take my break. At night, we only get a 30-minute break. During the day, I know they get 45, but it's usually a little bit slower anyways, so, it's no biggie. I take my lunch, to kind of chill out for a little bit, do some homework if I can, and after that, the night goes by so fast, I'm telling you guys. So at night, at my hospital at least, we clean all of our complete care vented patients in the ICU. And that can usually range anywhere from 1 to a full house, and that is 20 patients at my particular hospital. But with the whole Miss Rona thing going on, I'm not gonna lie, we are full of patients who need breathing support. We have many patients who are vented at night. So when this is kind of going on right now, we usually start our washes around that time. I do that with the nurse. All vented patients must be washed with the nurse. On a regular floor, I can wash the patients myself. If I need help, I can get another tech or a nurse, but in the ICU, it must be a nurse and a nurse washing a patient, or it must be a nurse and a tech. techs can't do it on their own. And yeah, so it's been getting pretty busy. With that said, now that we're almost at capacity, to be honest, I can honestly start washes even before I go to my dinner. Sometimes they start washes even during the 3 to 11 shift if a nurse wants to really get her stuff done early, because again, there's only one of me and there are only so many nurses and everybody still has to get washed. So that's definitely a consideration. So after we do our washes and everything, that's usually the time that, I clean out the linen carts. I take it to the place where we put all the bags and everything. I do our I's and O's around this time as well. If a patient has a Foley or if they're on a PureWick or a Texas catheter, I just empty the bags or empty the canisters. If a patient is ambulatory and they've been going to the bathroom, usually we have something that we call a hat that we put in the toilet bowl. So I kind of gauge how much is in there by the measurements and then I empty it out. Yeah, usually by the time I do I's and O's, again, I stock up the floor, make sure everything is done and pretty for the morning shift and the admin to come in. And that is usually my night. So again, it might not sound too crazy because hopefully I didn't want this to be told in a way where I'm stressing everybody out, but I'm not gonna lie, it's very busy. It's very busy. And there are times that, to be honest, I don't take my lunch because, it is what it is. I would much rather sacrifice my lunch than stay an extra hour because there was just so much that I couldn't get done during my shift. Guys, so I hope that's a little bit of insight as to what it's like being a PCA in the hospital during these crazy, crazy times. A lot of my nurses joke with me like, so are you sure you still want to go to nursing school? And y'all, I'm not even gonna lie. Every day I go into work, it makes me realize like, yeah, I do still want to be a nurse. Like even despite all the craziness and the confusion and the anxiety, I know I am still determined on being a nurse. However, I do see the toll that this is taking on the nurses because again, while I still have to go in patient rooms and while I still have to care for patients, my scope of practice is limited. There's so much more the nurses have to do. Like they might be in a patient's room that's intubated for like maybe 2 hours at a time. And to say that a nurse would have to be in a room for 2 hours without the proper equipment and the proper masks, that is scary and that is concerning. So, like I said, I know I am where I want to be. I know this is what I'm meant to do. I am meant to help people, and I am so thankful every day that I get to do that and that's able to be shown through my work. However, I plead with all of you guys, if you know anybody who has N95s or surgical masks or full body suits or any equipment that could be used by healthcare professionals, please ask them not to hoard it. Please don't ask them to sell it for exorbitant prices so they can make money off of hospitals and doctors and nurses. Like, guys, like we're supposed to be coming together. Like how could these people? I don't understand. So please, please, please donate them if you can to a local hospital or a charity that can therefore donate it to a hospital because this is life-saving equipment and we are all here just to keep you guys safe. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I know it was long. I know it might have been a little tense at moments, but to be honest, this is the reality of being a tech in the hospital. And I've seen a few videos of some nurses and what they're going through right now and their perspective on things. And I've seen interviews of doctors, especially in Italy, and what that country is going through, guys. So I pray for Italy, I pray for China, I pray for everybody that's been hit by this, but I pray that here in the States that we take heed from what other people's made mistakes on, and we don't do that here. So please stay inside, wash your hands, eat right, social distance, and we're gonna get through this, you guys. So if you like that video, please hit that like button. It really helps the growth and support of this channel. I would really appreciate it. Please consider subscribing, you guys, if you like content relating to nursing, personal finance, and health. I would love, love, love to see you guys join the family. It's lit on this side of YouTube, if I do say so myself. And please comment down below. How are you feeling during this whole pandemic? Are you a nurse, doctor, tech? Are you guys working in the hospitals or in a facility that's been hit by, these COVID patients? What's going on? Like, how are you dealing with this? Try not to say the the C word. Try not to say that word. Just say Miss Rona. That way, again, YouTube doesn't take this down, because I really just want to be able to share this video so a lot of people understand what the different perspectives, what's going on right now. So again, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in a little bit. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll get through this, you guys. Bye.